something, he call me a threat. I'm the one that really live with a rap. They ain't never did it, they ain't really trap.
They're hedge fund managers making $1 million an hour. You know, it's crazy, right? There's money everywhere. There's money in everything. I want to help you. Start your business today.
Yo.
Come join my royal family. Subscribe to Casino is the name.
Yep.
So yeah, and also too, man, just to piggyback off his question, wasn't a big bag of money.
Hey, yo, what's going on right now? You watching Casino is the name. I'm live right now.
The hard way, you know, and just cutting our teeth, bro. You know, a lot of failures throughout the process. You know, we had to adjust, fail, forward, man, and just keep moving forward. So that's kind of what he means when we got out the mud. You know, it's cool to, you know, do other things and then invest in real estate. I mean, because real estate is an awesome vehicle to build wealth, but we didn't make a lot of money doing another business. You know, we made our money from real estate. You know, some people are fortunate enough to have a talent to play athletics or music, and they invest in real estate, which they should, because it's an awesome vehicle. But our money came from real estate. That's what he means when he says we got it out the mud.
So YouTube, I am on live right now with Kelly Parker and Gene Johnson, and as well as what's his name again? Troy Gunn. Right. So there we go. All right. So yeah, we're on live right now on YouTube and on Instagram right now, and the topic is it currently the right time to invest in real estate? And so these are two real estate gurus. I dabble in real estate a little bit, but, you know, nothing like these guys, you know. They do it for real. So, you know, that's what we're on here talking about. So we're going to listen to these guys. I'm going to ask them some questions. I'm sure a lot of people might want to know some of these things I'm going to ask because I still also want to know them myself. And so that's what we're going to do.
Cool. And if you guys watching and y'all have questions, be sure to put them in the comment section. Definitely try to address those. Every question.
Okay.
All right. So what's the first question, man? Let's get into it.
All right. So is it the right time to invest in real estate? I mean, to build right now? Is this the right time to build right now?
The answer is yes.
Yes.
And yeah, the answer is yes. Listen, it's always going to be the right time to get to real estate. It's always going to be the right time to build. The thing about it is that your strategies change. Like right now, I think it's the best time we've seen probably in a long time because there's some fear in the market. Like Warren Buffett said, when everybody's fearful, be greedy. You know, when everybody's greedy, be fearful. And I can kind of see some fear that I have not seen in the market in a long time. I'm seeing more inventory sit. You know, rates went up, and then, you know, they went down a little bit. So it's a lot of fear, like right now in the market. So now is, I think the next several months, man, will really be the best time that we've seen in a long time to be able to pick up real estate and acquire real estate, in my opinion. Because the market has been really a seller's market, and it's been tough to find properties and find inventory. So yeah, now is going to be an excellent time to buy. But it's always a great time to buy because you just got to know what strategies you're using. Like right now is a great time to buy and hold because rents are at an all-time high.
Right.
And one thing about it, like if you're paying $2,000 right now casino for rent, your landlord not going to say next year, hey man, I know you've been paying me $2,000. I'm going to take $1,500. No, he going to say, hey man, you know, stuff going up. I'm going to need to get that $2,500 from you. So rent's going to always go up. And there's a lack of rental properties. Go out there, just even though if you're not looking, just go do this exercise. Go call and see how hard it is to get a rental right now. The waiting list is through the roof. You know, so it's hard to get rental properties. There's a shortage on rentals. So now's a great time to build and hold, buy and hold. Buy and hold is like my main strategy right now. Great way to build wealth. So yeah, man, it's always a good time to get into real estate, man.
Yeah,
Never not a bad time.
And for the record, I realized that about renting a long time ago. I definitely don't rent because I wouldn't be. I see what people are paying today, and I'm like, how are they able to do this? Like, I know people who spend $4,000 a month renting in Florida, down in South Florida, and it's like, how are they able to do this? Like, I don't, not people who make $100,000 a year or nothing like that. Like, they have to get roommates and things like that. It's expensive, and so. Like, I don't even know, like, would I be able to pay $4,000 a month in rent? Like, it's crazy. And so I definitely cut that cord a long time ago. And I definitely want to acquire more real estate, and just holding on to real estate. You gain so much equity. My net worth is crazy just because of real estate. Just that alone is crazy just from buying and holding. But my mortgage is $1,300. But if you rented one of these houses, you're gonna be paying like $2,600 a month. So, it's cheaper to me to buy or to build, or just to have ownership. But you got to still do it the right way. You know what I'm saying? But I'm definitely on that. I did want to ask you guys, for people who may be interested in building, what would be the best way for a new person to come in? Like, what type of strategies, what kind of things do they need to do to build?
All right, I'll take lead on and let Gene wrap it up. They're doing it. If they're on this live right now, they're doing it.
Okay.
It's education. Education is the number one thing they need to do. Is really find out where they want to do it at, and does it make sense to build? Because a lot of people don't understand ARV and comps and things like that. So someone may propose a deal to them where it's a $50,000 lot. They looking like, man, that's cheap. That's only $50,000. But then the lot is not buildable. Like Gene and I always say, they done bought a $50,000 playground, a $50,000 kickball field, or a dog park because they can't build on it. So you need to have your education up to par, but you'll know what you're getting yourself into. So if you're watching this live and you're new into real estate and you want to get out here and build, keep doing what you're doing and get your education up. Gene and I, we have 100 videos on YouTube. We got the free pop-up events. We have the boot camps. We'll be in Orlando on the 27th. So we're out here educating people because we've seen people get messed over so many times in so many different ways. Another way is it goes along with education. Knowing how to hire a good subcontractor. Knowing how to hire good GCs. You have to know all of this if you want to get into this space. You have to know your numbers. And by knowing your numbers, you know if somebody bullshitting with you or being honest with you. You can't fool nobody who know this game for real. You can't fool Gene and myself. You can't do it. Like, we can go at any market and you can't fool them. You can talk all you want to. But that's all you're going to be doing at the end of the day because you're not going to fool. You can see through that. I always tell Gene, I'm like, yo, if you want to see somebody, if somebody full of shit, just let them talk. Let them talk. You're gonna see it. Because Gene and I, we're very reserved. We sit back and we listen. We've been in a room full of a lot of people that, talk a lot. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're experts in that field.
Right.
Just because they run their mouth a lot. Like, I went to a networking event a few weeks ago. I didn't say nothing to nobody that wasn't with me. Like, Troy was with me, and then our other partner, Grip. Shout out to Grip.
Shout out Grip.
We was at the event, right? We just talking amongst ourselves, our team, and no one's talking to us. So everybody in the room gets to introduce themselves and tell them who they are and what they currently have going on. A lot of people got up doing a lot of great things. But when I got up, it's like the whole room gave me their undivided attention when I started talking. It's because they know I wasn't full of shit. And when I was talking, they could tell everything I was saying was passionate and it was true. Because we really do this, and that's our hashtag. So I told them about some of the projects we got going up as far as the neighborhoods and the mansions and the barndominiums and everything else we got going on. They were like, man, I thought you looked familiar. I just didn't know. I just didn't know that was you or whatever because they see us, whether it's on social media or ads or whatever. They see us, and Gene gets stopped every day basically. Everybody see him, the construction king everywhere right now.
Right.
Get used to his face and my face as well. Y'all ain't seen me nothing yet.
Right. Facts.
So yeah, I say all that to say this: get your education up, learn this game, learn the numbers, and make sure that you're current. I don't want to hear you give me a quote from 2019. Like, you can't go online and look up, try to get all your information from YouTube because those numbers are outdated. You got to stay current. You got to attend these networking events. You got to attend these pops. You got to attend these boot camps to stay current so you can get in any room and realize what's going on. And, just like that, you'll get a better understanding of the space.
So Kelly, I heard you and Gene talk about strategy and you talk about education. One of the things that I know that you all have, the Construction King have, is coaching. Mm-hmm. And what is the benefits of them coming to you all for the coaching? Because that's really the educational piece, and what really people really need to hear is how y'all touch base and how y'all take them from ground level and bring them up to bring them to where they get their house from the GCs to keep them knowing what they are doing. So can you touch base on some of the coaching on how y'all go about your strategies and teaching them with the coaching?
Yeah, I'll let Gene do that.
I think the biggest thing, man, is of course, we're doing a lot of coaching right now. I think the biggest need is instilling the confidence in people because this is not an easy business. I'm the first one to sit up here and tell you that, like, real estate is very complicated and difficult, especially if you don't know what you're doing and know what you're talking about. Like, I've had so many frustrating days, nights, sleepless nights. Like, this business, I tell people, man, real estate, it'll make you smile, it'll make you cry, it'll make you laugh all on the same day. This is not easy business, so don't get fooled thinking you're going to get in and it's just going to be cakewalk. Like, and if you don't have the process down and understand the numbers, man, like, you can lose a lot of money in real estate if you don't know what you're doing. And because it is complex and it has so many moving parts, the biggest thing is people understanding where to start, and then overcoming their fears, because it's a lot to learn. Like, if you're looking at land, like, how do you buy the land? How do you find the land? How do you evaluate the land? What do you need? Do you need a survey? Do you need a site plan? Like, what can you build on it? It's so many questions that go into that piece of land, and people just don't know, like, what order to do stuff in. So I think we just make it simple. When you look at a piece of land, here are the things that you need to do. You need to understand the zoning on it. You need to get a survey done. The survey need to have topography on it. And then you can figure out, like, what you can and can't build based on the zoning and, of course, based on your goals. Then once you get your house plan, of course, putting your site plan together and getting everything that the county requires to submit the permits. So a lot of that, even though we can sit here and tell you, until you actually go through that process, like, it's still a lot. So we kind of hold your hand as you go through that process. I built my first house in 2013. I lost $75,000 on that house. At the time, I was the number one agent at Keller Williams. At the time, I had flipped probably, 30, 40 houses, 50 houses. So I had experience flipping houses. I just didn't have any experience building new houses. I was lacking what it take to buy land. I was lacking what it costs for the foundation and all that stuff. So I hired a general contractor, and the general contractor took advantage of me. Even with experience, the general contractor took advantage because I didn't understand everything. And that's one of the reasons I became a contractor, because I didn't want anybody, to take advantage of me moving forward. But I say that to say, even with experience, I didn't know what it took to build a new house. And even after I started building on my own, I still made a lot of mistakes. Like, I was doing stuff, out of order. It would cost me money. I would do something and go back and have to undo it and correct it and spend more money to fix stuff. And so over time, we've really been able to put together a process. Like any of the students that's in our coaching program, they will tell you that they have the process. And one thing I was talking to KP about is that people not going to know it until they understand it. Because I can talk to you about foundations all day. We could talk foundations every day for a week until you actually go through it and you walk through it. It's just, you're not going to have that confidence because it's still kind of like unknown to you. So we're putting you in situations where we're walking you through and holding your hand. And so it just comes down to a confidence thing, man. And that's what we give people, the confidence to do it.
I have one of my viewers on YouTube is asking, does it make sense to get or build a fourplex? How profitable can it be, and what are the dangers?
I mean, yeah, for sure. Like, you just, like, every property's different. That's a pretty broad question. You know, where's it located at? How much does it cost to build a fourplex? Obviously, a fourplex is probably going to be a situation where you're looking for rental income. Does the rental income make sense? You know, to cash flow it. But anytime you can get a fourplex or any type of vehicle where you can make a positive cash flow and the returns are good, yeah, it makes sense. The thing about building fourplexes, and I don't know where that viewer is calling or is living at. I know in Atlanta, you know, there's not a ton of zoning for that. It's harder to find zoning even for duplexes. Yeah. You know, so it's you got to make sure the zoning is right to allow you to do, you know, that fourplex. Yeah. But if the numbers make sense and you can cash flow, absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely no zoning in Atlanta right now for fourplexes. I tried to get a duplex or a quadruplex or something before I built this house, but it was just like nothing was available at the time.
Man, it makes no sense. Everybody wants affordable housing,
right?
Just not their neighborhood.
Yeah, and so you can buy a townhouse, but that townhouse isn't considered a 4-unit or a duplex. So, you know, you have to buy that. If you're trying to buy it as a single family home, like, you know, as a first time home buyer, you can buy a 4-unit. Or at least with a VA loan, you can buy up to a 4-unit, but a townhouse, you can only buy one of them. Even if it's connected to something else, because it has a different address, they look at it as a entirely separate house. So
I tell you what I'm doing, and I got my first one, and it's going good. The pad split model. So like right now, because rents are so high, a lot of people are renting like the rooms out.
Yeah.
And so I got a 5-bedroom house in Decatur that I'm renting for $900 a room. I bought this house, I don't know, 2017. So to make a long story short, man, my mortgage is only like $1,100 a month. I'm netting about $2,200 a month on that house.
That's crazy.
Off a 5-bedroom house. And so now I'm looking for some other houses that have, you know, maybe 5 rooms, but I can convert the living room to maybe a couple rooms. So if I can get 8 to 10 rooms, I could probably generate, you know, $4 to $5 grand from that one single family house. When you get 4 houses, I mean, that's 20 grand a month. That's not that difficult to do. Not that difficult to do.
So Gene,
there's a big need for it.
So Gene, you said you took a house. Rent out the room?
Yep. I mean, it's just a rooming house. I mean, it's been around forever. The rooming house model. But there's companies out there, like there's a company called Pad Split that actually you can put your house on their platform. Yeah. They'll screen the tenants and place the tenants for you. And they charge you a 15% fee. But they only do tenant placement. They don't manage like the maintenance and the other stuff. So there are some other companies out there that do the same thing. So you know, they're doing it in different models. But yeah, I'm getting it to the pad split because they're easy to do. You can find a single family house, man, and convert it, you know, convert the living room and some other common spaces into bedrooms. We got, of course, we pay for all the utilities, and then we got internet. You know, we pretty much have a bed and a dresser in each room. And that's it. They share the bathrooms.
Look, Gene, I did that, and I was charging $1,500 a room. $50 a day. $50 a day for 30 days. And people are paying it because they're still saving on light bill, internet, all that stuff is included, in the house. So they're not having to buy a bed. So it actually made sense, especially, and these people, like, you can literally do anything. Like, they might have been Uber drivers and they make $200 a day driving Uber, and that's $50 a day. That's actually only 25% of what their pay is, when most people should be around 35% of whatever they make going towards where they stay. These people at 25%, it actually made sense for them to do it on a numbers basis. It just sounds crazy to us that people are renting a room, but they getting kitchens, pans, everything. They ain't got to pay for anything. TVs, internet, everything's already included. So it made sense. But $1,500 a room, you got 4 rooms, that's $6,000. Like, it's definitely, I like what you're doing.
Yep.
Yeah. But okay, so I got a question. And what are the best type of loans to try to get started in building houses or buying houses?
So my path was always hard money loans. I do a lot of private loans now, but there are a lot of hard money loans, like asset-based loans, that you can get in real estate. Like, don't try to get you're not going to get like conventional loans and those type of loans on these properties. Like, really, it's going to be you getting like these asset-based loans. Now, because I have my GC license, and I've been doing this for a while, I do qualify for bank financing. So I might buy the lot and I'll go in there and I'll get financing through the bank now, because I built that experience up. Yeah. But starting out, it was straight hard money. Just all hard money loans to get to these properties.
So for those of the people who are out there in the YouTube and Instagram world who don't know what asset-based loans are, like myself, could you please explain? Sounds good. I don't know what it means.
I ain't go into detail about it, but it's simply, when you get a car loan, that's a liability-based loan.
Okay.
Real estate is more asset-based because you can't run off with a house.
Gotcha.
That's the shortness of it. I got a couple questions that we had coming in. This is from Natalie Thomas, realtor. I'm a realtor investor in Florida. Is past splitting welcomed in most neighborhoods here or there?
I know they're in Tampa for sure, but I don't think they offer their services in every city. But I know they're in Tampa, because I got some stuff in Florida, and I know they're in Tampa, and I think Jacksonville, but I'm not sure what other cities they're in.
All right, and Murdoch said, is there a boot camp? Will we be doing a boot camp in Orlando? We will be doing for October, but Gene and I will be on the panel at the 7-Figure Real Estate Summit on August 27th in Orlando as well.
We have another question for I Am Keemer.
Mm-hmm.
Do lenders lend on the acquisition of the land as well as the construction, or do you have to already own the land to get funded for construction?
No, they will lend on the acquisition of the land and build in the construction of the project. And depending on your experience, it could be 15, 20%. So let's say if you have no experience and the land is 100 and the construction is 300, you're going to have to put down 20% of $400,000 to be able to get the land and have the loan built into it. And now a lot of lenders will only charge you interest on the undrawn balance, or they don't charge you interest on the undrawn balance. So you'll have 300 sitting in your escrow, and you're only paying interest on the land acquisition. And as you draw down, when you start building your properties, your payments will go up, because you'll start to borrow the money from your draw and start paying the interest. There are a couple lenders out there that will just finance land only. And I think it's better to just finance the land only. with this upcoming, I'm gonna say, recession, whatever you want to call it, it's going to be a good opportunity to get off-market deals because stuff is going to sit where house prices go down, land prices go down, and I can negotiate land is a lot easier to negotiate than negotiate the house. It's a lot of land that I buy that I do seller financing on. A lot of times, like if a seller got a lot, maybe they only want 50 grand for it. You can put down 5 grand and pay them, 6%, 7% interest on a 30-year amortization chart, and then do a balloon payment in 3 years or 5 years. So you give them a few grand down, and you're paying them $300-400 a month. Not even that, a couple $100 a month, and that allows you to get your permits. And then once you permit it, then you can refinance it and pay that seller off. So being creative with your deals is really going to be the key. One of the things that we do is we use a lot of like other people's money and leverage. And I wish I would have started doing this, sooner. And just because that's the way you scale and you grow your business. It's not about what you got. It's about what you can get access to. Because sometimes it's hard to save $100,000. It's hard to save, especially when you work in a regular job or, you don't have the income to save up that type of money. So it's all a mindset thing. Stop thinking about like you personally trying to save it and figure out like how can you get it. That's the key to all of this. And then when you add the knowledge to it, it's a lot easier to get it. Like when you're a real estate investor and you getting into this, you really should be networking. And you need to be networking where there are people with money. Because if you're a real estate investor, even though you're new or an agent, as you build your knowledge, it's going to be easier and easier for you to raise money. It's a lot of people out there that want to get out of crypto. It's a lot of people out there that want to invest passively, and you can be that vessel for them to invest in. That's how we do so many deals. People like, how y'all do a lot of deals? Yeah, because we raise a lot of money when we need to do our deals. It's not that hard to raise money. You got to think of abundance.
Gene and Kelly, so how would you tell people how to get in those type of rooms to even have those conversations?
What I always tell people who want to like get into this space for real as far as real estate investing, I tell them, one, take an online real estate class, like $100. And that's to get familiar with the terminology and the laws when it comes to real estate. Even if you don't want to be a realtor or a real estate agent, just take the class and get your education up as far as the terminology and the laws. That way you won't step on any toes when you're in this room with these people. And you'll be able to listen to a conversation and understand it. Because if you're in this room and you don't know what comps are or how to, just the typical stuff that realtors speak, the realtor terminology, comps, closing attorneys, earnings, money, stuff like that. If you don't know what any of that is, and now you just like, damn, I got a lot to learn, at least you'll be got familiar with the terminology. So when you're in these rooms, in Atlanta it's different than a lot of areas because there's so many people here that are moving and shaking in the real estate space. There's always a networking event weekly here in Atlanta somewhere, where there's a real or just a networking event for agents and investors. So if you're in your market, just go on Facebook and join these groups. You can network with a lot of people. We have a group on Facebook as well, the Construction King. All you guys go right now and go join that group. It's a great platform to meet people like yourselves that's in this space and want to grow in this space as well. So yeah, just look on social media for these groups and get out in the street. Like get out and start networking, not shaking hands with everything going on, but kind of people.
So
and be familiar. You got to be familiar wherever you're at. Like, you got to stand out. You don't want to blend in. And what I mean by that, you don't want to be a wildflower when you get in these rooms. Gotcha. You want to introduce yourself. You want to talk to these people. You want to do everything that I didn't do a couple weeks ago until I got up the opportunity to introduce myself. I mean, it was one guy walking around introducing himself, which is great. I knew he was new, and that's great. I used to do the same thing when I was starting out, and that gives you the confidence and to go out and approach these type of people. By the time you get to the level where Gene and I are at, I mean, we still introduce ourselves because it's cordial, but at the same time, a lot of the times in these spaces, we just sit back and we gauge the crowd, and then we make our introduction. We don't just initially prematurely go out here and start doing all this and that, because sometimes, I mean, people be having conversations. It's okay to shake hands, not shake hands. I keep saying that. It's okay to meet these people in these spaces, but just make sure it's welcomed. You don't want to be just obnoxious about it.
So I gotta do it for the people. You know, we want to know how much money you can make. You know what I'm saying? Like where's the money? What's the value in it? What are we building houses for? Like, are we trying to get future gain?
I don't know, but I know one thing. Gene posted some checks last week. I know it was over $250,000.
Gene, what's the window?
Talking about legacy though.
But I mean, the thing is, man, you can make as much money as you want to. There's really no cap. But you have to understand what your end game is. Like when I first got into real estate, it was all about making that money. I just like to see them big checks. Now, like, I did a lot of stuff this year, but I'm holding more stuff. It's about cash flow. Because when you buy a house, there's two things that's going to happen. And I don't care what happens to the market next week, next year, whatever. Within a certain window, that house is going to go up in value. Yeah, it may go down, but if you got a 5 to 7 year window, you could pretty much guarantee that house is going to go up in value. The rent's going to go up in value. So for me, at this stage of my career, it's about cash flow. When you first getting in, it might be about making the money to do some stuff and to kind of build your business. But right now, it's just about cash flow, you know, because cash flow is the thing that can set you free. You want to position yourself where your money's working for you. You know, if you don't learn how to make money, when you sleep, you're going to work until you die. That's just a simple fact. Right. So learn how to put your money to work and let your money go to work. That's one way to beat inflation. Everybody that bought houses before COVID is up right now. If you want to beat inflation, invest in real estate. Right. If you want to, outpace, even I think like certain stocks and certain things, it's real estate, man. Real estate is so tangible. You can touch it, you can feel it, you can rent it, you can do so many things in real estate. And if you really understand real estate, it's one of them games that it's hard to lose. Like if you know how to finish the property out, you have your exit strategies and you hold it, even though I know, I was talking to a friend today. He got a house right now he can't sell. And I'm like, bro, figure out how to hold this property. If you got to refinance it, maybe you bring another investor, refinance it and hold it. I guarantee you in 3-4 years in this community, you'll be able to sell it and make a profit on it. So it's about holding it. If you really want to learn how to build wealth, you got to learn how to hold real estate. That's just the bottom line.
All right, and to piggyback off of Gene about the money situation, like people want to know how much money we making and stuff like that. Like you say, the wealth is in holding real estate. Like we can get these checks, we can get these big HUD statements and all this money and stuff. I mean, closings monthly or whatever, and make a lot of money. But at the same time, if you don't know how to have that money working for you, it's no good. Right. Say if you put $10,000 worth of gold in a safe in 2000 and put $10,000 cash in that same safe in 2000 and go pull that money out right now. You have $10,000 in cash, maybe $70,000 in gold. Because that gold has something that cash doesn't have. And that gold in that gold housing, real estate, is the gold factor. It's like you can put that money in there because we're buying houses now when I for $250,000 plus. I mean, that's the bottom right now, 250.
Yeah.
No matter where you're at, like that's damn near the bottom in Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you got cash in the bank right now, man, you losing money.
Yeah.
You losing like money with inflation, bro. Like $10,000 back then and now, $10,000 is probably worth $4,000 right now. Like you're losing money. If you got a lot of money in the bank, you need to be putting that money into something that's gonna grow and work for you.
Yeah, I'm an accountant, right? So guys, y'all watching, that's called hedging. So when you see a hedge fund, that's basically what they're doing. They're hedging some kind of commodity, some kind of item, some kind of stock against the dollar to hold value against the dollar, and they just ride inflation up. That's basically all they're doing. So that's what a hedge fund does. So I'm like more interested in real estate, not from like different standpoints, but like for me as like, so I made 6 figures, right? My revenue's somewhere around 250, 250. So for me, it's really big. I'm really big on avoiding taxes, not evading taxes, but avoiding taxes. So I need to, reduce my taxable income is in many ways as I can while still making money. And you can still, with real estate, and this is another part, like I like the goal analogy. And I was really just having that conversation with somebody else, telling them why real estate over gold. And it was because I can't rent the gold out and make money while it's still also going up in value. You know what I mean?
Correct.
But yeah, gold is still better than having cash by far, But you can still, in that analogy, rent that gold out and make money on that gold and then still benefit from the rising of it and still show like you could took a loss on your taxes. Or
you could
depreciation.
appreciate the asset.
Yeah, 27 and a half years. Let's just appreciate it. Let's run it. But yeah, that's what I'm more so interested in it for.
Yeah. Ooh, that was a real good question, man. People need to know that, and I'm glad Gene reiterated that.
Yeah.
You got cash in the bank right now, and you're not investing it.
It's dead.
In the recession, man. Because if you think about him saying that 10,000 now is equal to 4,000, a few years ago, I mean, that's correct. Because look at the price of cars. Like, they expensive as hell.
Yeah.
For the same everything, groceries, everything's expensive right now. I'm not just going to stick on the gas because that do what it do and it's been doing that since forever. But groceries are so high. You go to buy some milk or something, you done spent $80.
Right.
Like,
and
damn, this dollar don't hold no value no more. When, you go to the store, you come out, you spend $45, you got 4 bags of groceries.
Yeah. This guy at the dealership,
right now, you got a half a bag of groceries.
Guy at the dealership said that this car that was 2 years old sold for, it was a van. He said it sold for like $40,000. They got that same van 2 years later. It's a used van. They're selling it for $7,000 more than what they sold it for originally. And it's like, this is not even making sense. But crazy right now. Yeah.
That's why real estate is the space that everybody need to get in, who got the opportunity to get in, and right now is the time. That's why the topic is what we're teaching is right now, why is the time to learn how to build. We're not just talking about building house, we're talking about building wealth.
Yes, absolutely.
It's the best time to do it. Like, no way
around it. And then what you building, are you saying to build custom, or are you just saying to build, even if you just go to D.R. Horton or wherever to just build? Are you saying?
I think it really depends on your goals. Like when I first got in, I was just trying to build houses to make money. But as we started building more and more houses, we've kind of figured out our niche and our lane. So now we're, building stuff that kind of represents our brand. Okay. We're focusing on our brand. That brings me to another good point, man. It's just like start with wherever you're at. Like I was talking to a student today, and I was showing him some of my first rehab properties. Bro, I was terrible at rehabbing houses. Like I fucking sucked. Like terrible. Like doing stuff. I was painting everything. I was painting cabinets. I was painting tile. I would go to Sherwin-Williams and be like, man, y'all got some paint for tile? Like I was painting everything. I was just terrible. I didn't know. And I was just focused on how much money can I save on this house, figuring I was going to make a lot of money on the house. When actually I was too cheap and cutting corners, it ended up costing me more money. Because when the inspection report came back, there was stuff that I had to go back and fix. So it cost me more time, and it cost me more money, and it cost me more energy. And so I had to figure that out the hard way. But start with wherever you're at, man. You just got to start with where you're at. Stop looking at like what somebody else is doing, and just start with where you're at. Because we wasn't doing this. What I'm doing now, I wasn't doing 2 years ago. What I was doing 2 years ago, I wasn't doing 5 years ago. And what I was doing 10 years ago, if y'all seen that shit, y'all would be laughing. Like, I would rehab my rehab right now. Like, I'm in bare feet. Look at them houses. Like, that's real. So start with where you're at.
Yeah.
And just grow through it, man. That's the model. Start where you're at, grow through it. Stop letting fear hold you back.
Right.
Man, we got one life to live, man, and people sitting around worried about losing a few dollars and scared to do this, and you wake up old and gray and regretting stuff. Just everything you want to do, you can do it. It's all up here. Just start it.
That all comes from just like knowledge, because knowledge, gives you more confidence. And the only reason they feeling like that is because they're not confident. Like, I know I could lose it all tomorrow and I'll be back here because I know how to get here. I'd be past here because I'll be more aggressive.
You know how to get it.
Because I'm too comfortable now. I feel like I'm too comfortable now. Like, the reason I'm not chasing a stupid bag is just because I want to watch movies right now, and I have a nice bed and I can watch it in. And I'm just not as aggressive as I would be if I lost it all and I'm back out. They don't want to see me outside for real. Like, they don't want to see that.
You said you're comfortable. You're a little
I'm
bit
too comfortable.
Right now.
Yeah, bourgeoisie, the law, it's too comfortable. But if I was, but am I afraid that I'll lose it all? Because you know how many people I know who are barely making it. And it's like, yo, why don't you go back to school? Why don't you go do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you invest in this? No, because they're like, no, I can't take that time. I don't want to have to start over again. They're so afraid of starting over. And I'm like, why not just start over and build it up better? Now you know what to do, moving forward, what not to do. But they're so afraid to start over. And it's like, if I had to, like, I don't have any problem with it. Nobody want to start over. You know what I'm saying? I am comfortable. Nobody wants to start over, but like, I don't feel any kind of way about it because I know I can get back here. But that just comes from knowledge and confidence of the world with finances and things like that. But like, it's not that big of a deal to start over, or to start something new, or to invest in something and try it. There's so much money in this world, man. You can make money doing something, anything. So I definitely like real estate for a lot of different reasons, but primarily for wealth building, it's nothing's better than that. This cryptocurrency has shown a lot of people who was investing in that crypto, and it didn't work out well for them.
Man, I got $150,000 in crypto. Man, they froze my account, man.
Oh, man.
What was crazy, I was about to put some more money in there. I was like, man, if I put X amount in there, I'm going to get 9% interest on that money. Because I don't like money just sitting in the bank.
So
man, it was in a USDC coin in Voyager. And
would have thought you couldn't have lost that.
The thing that pissed me off, man, is that I don't mind losing money if I'm investing in something and it lose. Yeah. I don't want to lose in the platform. Like, the platform let us down. Dang. Like, it's one thing to lose your money, but damn, if the fucking bank go out of business, you don't want to lose your money.
You got all your money in the bank.
What makes it even worse is that I actually won. I was up on ADA. I was up on all my stuff. I pulled out. Like, I bought ADA at like ADA at 59 cents, 58 cents. Then I went in at another, like $1. I sold at 280.
Wow.
I was up.
You was up big.
Pulled out, sitting on the side. I bought Ethereum at like 1,700, sold at 3,600.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, Bitcoin, man, like crypto, no.
Right. So
I think I'm done.
Put your antenna up, man. I'm not gonna keep letting you in here, man.
So I got a question from Sean. I can't say it. I got a question on YouTube. They said, "Gentlemen, I'm ready to buy my first investment property, and I live in California. I don't want to invest here. What state do you recommend?"
Where are they at?
It depends
They're in
on
California.
what the
They don't
goal
want to invest in
is.
California.
Is he buying to flip or buying to rent?
The question is to you: are you buying to flip or to rent? It's gonna be a little delayed, so we'll have to wait on the answer.
And then how much money you have to invest.
How much
So a
money?
lot of different things go into that. So like there are places like Ohio, you can go get cheap properties, they gonna cash flow. Like in Georgia, you could probably go down to Macon, Columbus, outskirts, get some cheap stuff and cash flow. Yeah. Now, if you're looking for the equity play, then you want to be in like somewhere that's in transition. Like in Atlanta, you want to be in 30314. Like that Vine City West Side, I think is going to be better than Kirkwood, better than all that because the proximity to the city. You got Skyline
to the
views right
stadium.
there. You got the Microsoft headquarters. You got so much stuff over there where, like, if you invest in now, you can't lose over there.
Yeah.
So
they said they're buying to rent.
It's staticky, but do some research on. First, you got to understand what your end game is. But then you got to do research on like what areas can get you there. Equity, always looking for areas that are trending up. If you're just looking for straight cash flow, then focus on, cities where you can get cheap properties. But you can't. It's probably going to be a trade-off. So if you're looking for equity, you're probably going to spend more and be in those type of areas. But if you're looking for cash flow, you're probably not going to have a lot of equity long term.
Gotcha. So yeah, they say they buying the rent. So as we'll see.
Kelly.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask. I know that you and Gene have an HBCU tour coming up with the Construction Kings and everything, and why you think it's necessary for you to reach that generation at that time.
All right. The reason we created the HBCU college tour is not because we want to discriminate. So let's wipe that out immediately. I think the kids that HBCU needed the most because we lack that information. We lack that information in school. We lack that information through our generations from our parents and grandparents. They don't really pass on that education as a broad statement to everybody else. Like, they don't tell you the importance of home ownership. That's why people have a problem with gentrification. Like, I have a problem with gentrification, but I understand it. My look on gentrification is that it affects more people who rent than the people that actually own the houses. And that's my perception. Because if you're an owner, you can't be forced out of your house. If you're a renter, you can be priced out. But if you're an owner, then yeah, of course your taxes will go up, but also the equity and the value of your house will go up. So you can, balance that out. But if you're a renter, then you should SOL, shit out of luck. So that's why the problem with gentrification is such a huge problem, because we wasn't taught the importance of owning these houses. That's why inner city, where the highest values right now, I mean, those were the areas that we grew up in. I mean, from South Florida to New York to California, like the areas closest to the city, the heartbeat of the city were predominantly black areas. And we were forced in. Of course, our great-grandparents and grandparents owned a little piece of real estate. But as time went on, kids and grandkids began selling off that real estate. Yeah. And when people came in and started redeveloping it, it became an issue. I mean, but in the same time, we wasn't taking care of our hoods when Granny and them passed away. Like I say, we would sell the house. I mean, we would throw trash everywhere. We wouldn't keep it up. And not knowing that this shit is really an investment. And that leads into the show that we're producing called No More Bando. It's a show about Same thing. These abandoned houses and all our things are very valuable assets if we get ownership of them and develop them, whether we refinish them and sell them, or we just hold them and rent them, or hold them and live in them. We gotta not only just buy back the block, but really teach people the value of these properties. It's one thing to say I'm gonna do this for a pat on the back. And, there's a lot of people in this space, entertainers and shit, that say buy back the block and don't really do it. And if they do it, they got alternatives. They're not really doing it for the reason. They're doing it so they can market it up, do whatever. But at the same time, we really gotta teach the importance of ownership. So that's why we're doing this too. Because we're not just teaching kids, be a first-time home buyer. That's great. We're teaching them that when you do get a possession and if you want to, let it be real estate. Get out here and renovate some houses or buy some rental properties. That way you'll learn how to create wealth as a whole.
One of the questions that we have is like, Gene Kelly, they hear you talk about building the wealth, and they ask for one of the examples, Gene, it went directly, you, somebody DM me. One of the nightmares of building a house, the construction of it, and how did you deal with that?
One is not knowing your numbers and what stuff costs. As an investor, like if you're building a house and you don't know what that stuff costs, you're probably gonna get ripped off. Because you don't know how to negotiate. Like how can you agree to a price on something if you don't know what the going rate is on it? Like the more you understand about those numbers, the better you're going to be positioned to negotiate to where you need to be. Number two, like not understanding the process, not understanding how to manage the process. Like I remember hiring an electrician, and then they say they done. I'm not an electrician, so I'm just looking at wires. I don't understand stuff. How did I fix that problem? I started having a third-party mechanical engineer do my inspection for me. And with that, like, it brought the knowledge for me to understand, no, all this stuff is not right. I'm not paying you until it's fixed. So understanding how to actually manage the process and go through it. Because most people that I run into, they don't really lose from buying the property. They lose from the subcontractor, hiring the wrong subcontractor, getting ripped off from the wrong subcontractor, not knowing what the numbers cost. Like, that's when people lose. And then what happens is the job's not finished, but then now they got to figure out how to finish the job, and they bring somebody else in, and it costs them double what it cost them more money to fix it than it would if they would have just did it right the first time. Right. So all my mistakes came from hiring the wrong people. All my stress came from hiring the wrong people. All my stress came from trying to be too cheap. Sometimes cheap don't cost you more money in the long run. If you go to Home Depot and somebody tell you they can start that day, they not the one for you. There's a reason they ass standing in front of Home Depot. If they was good, they would probably be on somebody's job site, So it took me losing money to figure that out and learn that. Because when you can't finish that property, that's when you put yourself in a situation to lose.
I got a question over here that says, so would you invest in trucking or real estate if you had to pick one?
I'm in both. I'm in both right now.
He's in both.
Real estate. And it really depends on what you're doing in trucking. Like trucking, you can be a freight broker. Trucking, you can, own trucks. I own a truck. I own a hot shop. My hot shop right now is parked. This gas too high. I'm running it and can barely pay the driver because gas is way too high right now. So my truck is parked. My hot shop is parked. Now the semi, we're lucky because we do heavy haul and we don't have to run it as much. So when we do that heavy load on the semi, it's gonna pay a nice lick. So we can do a load, you know, in 2 or 3 days where, you know, we can make 12, 15,000 off that one load because it's heavy haul. But even on the semi, it costs about $800 a day just in gas. And then you got the insurance. The insurance is like $2,500 a month just for the insurance.
It's crazy. So,
like, trucking is cool. It just really depends on what lane. I think, like, the opportunity would maybe be the dispatching, in my opinion, because anytime you get into a business, you have to understand what's the easiest path to scale. If you want to make money, you figure out how to scale something. If you're doing 10, you figure out how to take 10 to 20. If you're doing 20, you figure out how to take 20 to 40. And I think real estate is an easier avenue for you to probably scale it. And in real estate, you don't have to do, in my opinion, as much. Like, you can build 3-4 houses a year and make $50,000, $75,000 per house. You can keep 3-4 rentals a year and start adding monthly income to your rental. Like, that truck's not running, the wheels not moving, you're not making no money. That house could be sitting there and rented out, and you're gonna make money. So, in my opinion, real estate.
So, Gene, you will also say that real estate is what helped you for you to even be able to do the other businesses that you have, correct?
Yep, real estate.
So,
and that it.
So they said which one is better, and I think he just answered that. Real estate, but there's no. It depends on what you're doing. You know, it depends on what you're doing. Depending on what kind of truck you're running, depending on what kind of real estate you're doing. It's going to depend, kind of just like what you're doing. But real estate, taxes wise, depending if you're flipping is going to be fast. It's so many ways to make money in real estate. Of course, trucks is a lot of different type of trucking, but it's not an answer you can just like look at and say it just like that. Right now, gas is too crazy for trucking. Everybody I know who was successful in trucking, all their trucks is parked or they trying to get out of the business. That's from everybody that I know. So,
I was saying the audio. I think one of our phones, the second devices, is picking up the audio, so it's got some feedback.
Yeah, I'm not on anything else.
All right. I know Gene probably on one device. You on one device, Troy?
I'm only on one.
Yeah, I'm on one device.
I don't know why it's got that.
I hear like a double mic. Like I hear 2 mics.
Yeah, because it's picking up like from 2 devices. So I don't know what it is.
You don't have any other sound running.
Yeah, I see somebody said bad sound. They said they can't hear us.
I got a question for Gene. Would the new construction boot camp be a good fit for someone without real estate experience?
The answer is yes. Because one, it's an amazing place to network with people. So the answer is yes. Because when you can network with people, man, it goes back to the old saying, your network is your net worth. And we're going to have a lot of people in there that are already doing real estate that you can network with. So, yeah, it's absolutely an amazing place to get started. And then, 2, it's like, and I think you use this analogy, like if you've never really played football, this is like us explaining the game to you. Now, if you want to go to coaching or do something else, then, of course, the practicing every day can kind of get you there. But this is giving you a really good overview and layout on how you can really get in. Because you don't have to build houses to make money. You can learn one thing at this boot camp, how to evaluate land. And if you're a wholesaler, you can start wholesaling land to builders just by picking up these nuggets at the boot camp. But it's all about the network and the networking. So, yeah, it's a great place for anybody to come. And the resources are given out.
So I got a guy on YouTube saying he got 100,000. Which way should he go?
Come to the boot camp and learn.
Come to the boot camp. Come to the boot camp.
Hey, Casino, he could come to, he in Atlanta?
His name Isaac Curry. Let me see. Isaac, what city you in?
All right, because Casino, that 100,000, like it's a lot of people that say they got a lot of money and they want to invest in real estate. But what good is it know where your money going and how it's going to be working.
Right.
We're not stocks. We're not crypto. This is a real situation where you need to learn how to make your money grow in this space.
Yeah.
If someone give me $100,000, I'm gonna give it right back because I don't feel like I'm obligated to make any profit on it.
Right.
Just because you have 100,000. If you're not willing to learn this game for real, then you need to just go invest into a crowdfunding. We'll be doing that too.
Yeah.
But at this point, 100,000, you want to do this? Get to the boot camp or get some education.
He said Alabama to Atlanta.
Oh yeah.
Well, he can come to the
next Friday.
He can come to the pop-up this Saturday.
It's sold out.
Hey.
So the pop-up is sold out this Saturday, but they said you can come to the boot camp next weekend.
Yeah.
The 19th through
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, the link is on the pin right here at the bottom of the page.
So I'm gonna pin it on
August 19th.
YouTube. The Construction King.
It's August 19th, Casino.
Okay. August 19th.
So basically, everything that we're talking about, for those who just joined it, we're talking about the importance of education when it comes to real estate. There's a lot of people out here teaching you how to invest, but they don't teach you how to get the money to invest. The difference between them and us is we teach you how to get the money. Try to link up with the hard money, the private lending, and everybody else. We teach you how to get the education and learn how to invest. That's why when Zeno partner for a viewer just said he got 100,000. That's great. What are you going to do with it? A lot of people I speak to with 100,000 that don't know how to invest correctly in real estate, they think that 100,000 is not enough because they want to buy a house that's 150 and then put 70 in it. But they don't understand the process to do that. You just don't need all of it. Not at this point. If you can get approved for hard money and all that, then that's the way to go.
Yeah. Jacoby.
You don't never put all your eggs in one basket.
Jacoby.
That 100, you can really put a couple houses.
Jacoby.
So, Kelly and me. Okay. I'm sorry, go ahead, Casino.
Jacoby Brown says, what advice would you give a military personnel?
In real estate?
Mm-hmm.
One, take advantage of that VA loan.
VA loan.
Financing. And then the thing about a VA loan, I mean, it's not a lot in Atlanta, but if you can find a quadruplex, you can actually use your VA loan on the quadruplex because anything under 4 units is still considered a single family home. So now you can live in one side and rent out the other 3 sides. You can probably pay all your bills, your mortgage, your car payment, and all your expenses from that one quad.
Yeah. And you can also use that VA loan more than once, so long as you don't use the entire benefit. I got 2 VA loans, and I'm approved to do a 3rd house with my VA loan, so you can still do multiple VA loans with that same entitlement, just depending on how much the house is costing. Yeah, I think we good, man. Y'all need to come to the boot camp. I posted the link in the box, on the chat box. Yeah. So
y'all got any questions before we wrap this up? We got a free pop-up event this Saturday, August 13th. The link is in my bio on here. I think it's in Gene's bio as well. You can get added to the waiting list. We've already hit the people so far, but some of those people may not show up, so go ahead and get on that waiting list. Next weekend is the Construction King Bootcamp, the new construction. Building Builders Live will be the 19th, 21st is 3-day bootcamp. Following weekend, we'll be in Orlando at the Omni Hotel for the 7-figure real estate summit, hosted by Emmett Combs and his wife. Dean and I will be on the panel along with DJ Envy and quite a few other shakers in this space. Orlando, come check that out. We'll be back in Orlando with our own boot camp in October. For those who can't make it in August, be sure to stay following us and get more information. We got the TV show, No More Bandos, coming out. Keep following us, supporting us on that. Gene and I make videos and content every day on social media. So keep following, subscribing, liking, sharing. And ask us some questions before we go now.
Yeah,
y'all have y'all podcast that's gonna be starting soon, and your YouTube.
Yeah.
Gonna crank the YouTube back up. Yeah, it got really busy, so we didn't push out a lot of videos this year.
Yeah, I got one question for the public. The boot camp. What exactly are you gonna be teaching in the boot camp?
How to build a house.
How to build a house from start to finish.
No.
Gonna take them through.
Everything that it entails, from the funding part to the actual, from the funding to the finishes. We'll teach you everything from finding the lot, going to the lot, foundation to the finishes, everything in between.
I would like to say
get the money and spend the money.
I would like to say, Casino, the one thing that the Construction Kings do teach that we didn't really touch on is one of the things they teach. Like, everybody talk about getting money, holding houses, but they teach you how to budget and how to really know how to work your money to make your money work for you. And if you don't know how to budget, know how to deal with your finance, ain't nothing that's going to make sense to you. And that's one of the things they definitely teach you. So you definitely want to come to the boot camp, pop up. Definitely want to tune in to any time they're on there, because one of the things they are teaching is about building for legacy, but also to build your legacy, you have to know how to work your money and make your money work for you.
Correct.
Absolutely.
So yeah, guys, y'all keep getting education up. Keep following us. Like I say, shoot us some questions or comments under our post, and if we can address them, we will. Just thanks for the support. Everything you guys doing.
Keep tuning in.
Cool, fellas.
All right.
All right, fellas.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank y'all for tuning in.
All right. Okay. All right. So, guys, we are back to normal operation. That was a lot of information. Now I can start answering some of these questions y'all got about trucking. All right, so question is from Jacoby: where can we go to rent a truck and make money without an MC number? Okay, so this question requires, I guess, a bit of planning, because it's going to depend on what are you trying to do. Like, are you planning to are you trying to drive a truck for a living? Like not drive a truck for a living, but like go over the road? Or are you trying to do something like box trucking? Because a box truck, if you're just going to rent a box truck and deliver items for like Amazon and Best Buy and things like that, then you could do that. You can go get a truck from Penske or Enterprise or whoever. You can go just rent a truck, like a box truck, and you can just do that. If you're trying to rent a truck from a person, because you won't be able to rent a semi truck. I mean, you can rent a semi truck without an MC number, but like if you're trying to do something like that, like CDL, that requires a CDL and things like that, and a DOT number. See, the MC number just means you don't cross state lines. So a DOT number puts the truck in operation. So you can operate the truck in the state that you're in, but to cross state lines, you're going to need an MC number. So, but that's kind of what that is. But if you're just going to be around town, just going to be in the city, moving cars up and down the road, you can always, there's people who are always renting out trucks. It just depends what you're trying to do. It's so many different things you can do when it comes to trucking. Isaac Curry says, I love to see my people making moves. I salute you, brothers. Bro, we want to meet you, bro. Pull up. Pull up to the event, man. They also have these pop-ups where they pop up and they let's do box. Okay, so let's go talk about that. But they also have these events where they pop up at one of the houses that they're working on. It's called they pop-ups or whatever. It's just that it sells out kind of quick. I mean, it's free. It's a free event for them to do that. When they have that, people, they pop up and they kind of just, talk about, the project that they're working on. But the boot camp that they're talking about is like a 3-day event where they go from start to finish, from funding all the way to the end of construction. I don't know why it was so hard to hear earlier. It was something on somebody else's end because I also muted my mic and it was still feedback. So it definitely wasn't my end. So Jacoby says he has a CDL. So Jacoby, are you trying to rent a truck and then drive over the road like a traditional over the road trucker, or are you just well, it can't be if you're trying to not use an MC number. So yeah, you can. There's places where you can rent trucks. It's people renting trucks or even leasing out their trucks. Like it's people who got trucks parked and they're online. They're on probably Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, depending on what city you in. But it's people. I mean, I know people all like hit me up all the time asking me, do I know anybody who's interested in renting a truck because they got a truck and it's been parked and they still have an active MC or active DOT number, but their driver can't drive anymore. They just want to get out of the business, but they still have the truck and everything like that. So I see that kind of stuff, pretty often actually. But it just depends on what you're trying to do. But it's available. It's definitely available. But yeah, man, I was just jumping on here real quick, to have that conversation with those guys. And, wasn't really, I was already needing to do a video. So, I was planning on doing a live video myself anyway tonight, but, this kind of worked. And it was good information, man. Those guys make a lot of money doing houses, flipping houses, building houses, selling houses. They're also real estate agents, so they still sell houses. But I think... I know 1 year they flipped like 50 houses. They closed on like 50 houses, like crazy numbers. Like they do stupid numbers. I don't know anybody else doing the kind of numbers they're doing. And to know like I know one time, I think they're still working on it right now. They're building like a neighborhood, like 16 houses, like them. It's crazy. But yeah. Anyway, right now you're watching Casino is the name. I'm about to get up out of here, but I am so glad that y'all came and checked me out. Matter of fact, have you already hit the like button? If you haven't already, hit the like button. It'll help the YouTube algorithm rank the video up higher. I gotta come on here and do way more live videos. I love these questions. I love interacting with you guys. Hold on, I just seen some change up on here. Okay. Okay, so Isaac Curry says, okay, so Jacoby Brown said, no, just part-time. The problem with part-time, like driving a semi-truck part-time is, now the box truck thing, I think you could do that part-time. I think there's no problem. But driving a semi-truck part-time is a little complicated because you have to carry that commercial insurance. And if you're listed on there as a driver, that insurance is ridiculous. And to only do it part-time, I don't know if it even makes sense unless somebody already got it and you just got like a perfect driving record. And when they add you to it, it doesn't really affect the insurance. That does happen from time to time, depending on whoever the person is. But it doesn't make a lot of sense to drive like a semi-truck part-time unless, like I said, you don't affect any insurance for somebody else who has a more active kind of situation going on. And Isaac Curry says, I remember your video of trucking versus real estate. I disagree with you wholeheartedly. It seems like you changed your mind. No, I did not. I changed my mind. I'm going to explain. I'm about to retire and just getting ready for what's next. Okay, so we go back to Isaac Curry. You know what, Jacoby, congratulations. Congratulations on retirement. I couldn't get them folks that much time. But, okay, so Isaac Curry, I did not change my stance on trucking. The example that I used in that was $70,000, right? And it was a buy and hold situation. So the truck will make way more money than a buy and hold situation. I have had a house for my rental property I've had for 12 years, right? It hasn't been rented out for 12 years. I lived in it for a while, but I've owned it for 12 years. And so let's say I've rented it out maybe eight years or so. I have yet to turn a profit on that. Okay. And even if you say, okay, well, let's say right now I cash flow like $400, but I put an AC unit in that was $8,000, like $7,400 or something like that. Then I put a roof on it. Then I repaired another part of the roof, and then I put new carpet in, and then I bought new appliances. Not like regular appliances. I mean like sinks, ceiling fans, light fixtures, things like that. So I'm thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in the hole. Let's say I'm 16,000 in the hole. I profit. Remember, if I'm profiting $500, let's say I profit $500, which I don't. I profit less, but let's say I profit $500, right? 500 times 12, $6,000 profit for the year. Now I'm 16,000 in the hole currently, right? So any other little things that pop up, pest control, I got to cut trees down. The trees are going to cost me like $10,000. So in the example that I was using, it is not, and think about it, right? If I was able to maybe pay a driver 60, 70, on pace to pay a driver $60,000, $70,000 for the year with one truck, right? And still make money for myself. Let's say a truck let's just throw a number out there, right? Let's say a truck make $150,000. Now that's not profit. That's how much it made, but then you got expenses, right? And let's say insurance, truck notes, blah, 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 paying your driver, all of that. Let's say you kept 20%. Let's say you kept 30,000, right? Let's say you profited 30,000 net, okay? That 30,000, not to mention you're paying somebody maybe 50, 60,000, 70,000 for a salary, something like that, right? So you're paying that as a salary. That house, so let's say if you was your own driver or something like that, maybe you would have made, 80,000, 90,000 or whatever. But if you're paying a salary and you're still profiting, you're really, I won't say netting like 90,000 or 80, 90,000, but like there's no way that house that I rent for $500 a month is going to pay somebody a salary that they can live off of. It's no way. It's just impossible. So for that same kind of analogy, because that was the first video, it was 2 or 3 more videos that followed that video. That was a buy and hold situation. If you bought a $70,000 house, that's going to be a used house. More than likely, you're going to have some issues pop up. Might be a new circuit breaker, might be electrical. I've had to put coils and everything, copper coil wires, everything in. I've had to do all kind of stuff. And that stuff cost me thousands and thousands of dollars. And so if you're buying a $70,000 house to buy and hold, not to fix up and flip, because I did a second video, you can look it up, Real Estate versus Trucking Part 2, where, because in that original video, I said, hey, I am not talking about flipping houses. That is considered an active investment. But almost any passive investment is not going to be as lucrative as an active investment. Now, also at the time, rents were not as crazy as they are right now. See, at that time, people was buying houses and holding them and renting them out and making $150, $200 profit per month. If you was making $250 a month profit, cash flow, you was killing. You was killing. I know people who had $1,200 mortgages and was renting their house out for $1,300. If you was renting your house out for $1,500, you was killing. You was on top. Now, any little thing that happened, roof, tree falls in the neighbor's yard, anything, roof leaks, whatever, that $300 profit that you would have made per month, which would have been $3,600 for the year, could have been gone. Your entire year profit could have been wiped out. Or your 2 years worth of profit could be wiped out for an AC unit. Like, that is just the reality of what buy and hold looked like. Now you could make $1,000 profit per month. That's really good. That's really good. It's still not going to compete with a truck per se, but if you were flipping houses, we're talking to guys who flip houses like crazy. You said one motor could wipe out that 30K profit. No. All right. So look, that's another thing. What I was telling him, we were talking about hotshot trucking. Okay. So my suggestion was you go buy a brand new truck. And at the time, say 2019 or whenever that was, 2018, 2019, if you had bought a Dodge Ram, they had a limited lifetime warranty where as long as you own the truck and you're the original owner of the truck, anything dealing with the powertrain, engine, transmission, any of that kind of stuff, they covered. All right. So, and then if you bought it brand new, you drive the truck 100,000 miles and the trucks were still going to be less than 50, 60,000. So you could have potentially paid that truck off within a year or two, but it still had like a certain warranty up to maybe 100,000 miles, but it had a lifetime warranty on engine, transmission, and all of that. It was a Cummins diesel motor where you could put 2, 3, 4, 500,000, 400,000 miles on that truck. So that is why it wouldn't have been that way. Now, the only situation would have been if you poured DEF fuel in the regular gas tank or something like that. You would have crystallized your engine. That's a whole, or your fuel line. That would have been a whole, that would have put you out. That would have cost you, right? But no, like the truck itself, if you bought a brand new truck, now if you go buy a used semi truck, because remember I was talking about a hotshot truck, I was talking about a pickup, a Dodge Ram 3500 with a Cummins motor with diesel and all of that with ice and transmission. You could have been running a flatbed and doing all of that. No, you were talking about semis. No, I wasn't talking about semis. I don't think I was talking about semis because I didn't deal with semis. But say you would have did that with a semi and you got a $30,000 engine. I also in the previous videos talked about your credit, right? Building up a certain amount of credit. I have a limit of what, $57,000 in credit cards, and I was also talking about how you could have got all of this done with when I said, because in that video I said I started my own trucking business. I had a hotshot truck. Maybe you assumed that I was talking about semi trucks, but I wasn't necessarily talking about semi trucks. But you can still do the same thing, because if we were saying something's going to go wrong, then, well, you know what? Let's take away anything going wrong. If this will make it easier, you buy a $70,000 house that you're gonna rent out, and I buy a $70,000 truck that I'm going to run. That truck is going to make a profit at times $300 a day, $200 a day, $300 a day, $400 or $500 a day. Let's just say it makes only $300 a day profit. That house is going to profit that in a month, maybe, right? All right. So let's do the math on this. All right. So when I say $300 profit, I'm talking about $300 profit to the person running the truck. Like, you own the truck. That truck is going, let's just say, make a $300 profit 5 days a week, not running on weekends. It's $1,500 a week, right? So $1,500 times 4 weeks, that's $6,000 profit, right? And that's also including paying your driver his percentage or whatever, 30% or whatever it is, 25%, whatever your deal is. So you're able to pay a person a salary and still make a profit when that long-term hold that you get for $70,000 is not going to be the most grandiose of houses, right? But that all things, let's say nothing ever happens, the house is fine. That house is going to profit you $300 times 12, that's $3,600 for the entire year. That truck outperforms that buy and hold house by almost double in the first month for what you would have made an entire year. So 6,000 times 12, 72,000 would have been your potential profit or so. We ain't even gonna say that. Let's just say 30,000. 30,000 is still almost 10 times what you would have made on that buy and hold, just because it is an active investment. So we're talking about active investments versus passive investments. And so a passive investment is just not going to usually be as profitable as you just running a business. And now I'm telling everybody, get into government contracting, because it's way more lucrative than all of this. Everything is the most lucrative. I'm only going into real estate personally because of tax ramifications, to avoid paying large amounts of tax. That's mainly why I'm in real estate. But real estate is still, like I said, my house is not, has never made me a profit. It's going up in value, so my net worth is going up on, my houses or whatever. But I've never really made any money. I'm in the hole with my buy and hold, right? But if you're flipping houses, then that takes it into an active investment. So if you flipping houses like what they're doing, then hell yeah, I'm gonna say hell yeah, real estate over this. But if you're talking about buy and hold, it becomes a toss up, All right, so somebody just deleted their comment. But yeah, so but yeah, like it's one of those things where you definitely want to look at the different, I guess, situations or whatever. But I'm trying to see something real quick. But yeah, like it's a toss up. It depends on, the situation, but buy and hold still very slow. Unless you're just trying to build wealth or you're trying to avoid paying a large amount in taxes and stuff like that. So that's why I'm more so interested in it. But and it's still running a business. Like maybe you don't want to run a trucking business, but by no means would that house outperform a truck. Like my friends are truck drivers, right? And they go rent a house. They make enough money driving the truck to pay rent, right? So naturally the truck is making money. No, I got out of, so long time ago, I got out of running trucks because so when I got into trucking, it was during the government shutdown. So I worked for the government. And so it was during the government shutdown. So I got into trucking right at that same time. There's other guys I was working with, they was also in trucking. And so we started trucking businesses, just was in a good situation. And I started doing, I was doing YouTube at the same time. And when the government came back in, it was like, dang, I'm trying to run this trucking business when I had my own authority. So it wasn't like I was leased on to somebody else. Like I was dispatching loads. I was talking to brokers. I was talking to like businesses that was trying to ship stuff. Like I was brokering my own deals. I was doing a lot of stuff. Like I was, taking care of my own, sending my own factoring documents. I was doing everything. Like I was running a business. IFTA stickers, IRP tags, drug consortiums, all that kind of stuff. Like I was the one taking care of everything. That's why that's how I know trucking so well, is because unlike other people, I was involved in every step of the actual business. Most people don't do all of that. They might be a driver and somebody called them or dispatch a load to them and they go pick up the load. But I was doing everything. I was negotiating rates, any issues with the rate or any issues with my driver dropping something off. I had to work out all of those details and charge different things and negotiate. I had to make decisions. I had to do a lot of stuff. And so while I was in those offices at work, to have high level meetings, it was very difficult because my phone is blowing up on this other side because I need to step out to answer the phone. And that's why it was too difficult for me to keep it up. Now, I ain't gonna say I couldn't have kept it up, but it was between YouTube, work, and my career as an accountant and trucking, doing everything myself with all of that stuff. I feel like I could have done 2, but not 3. So I had to make a decision: trucking, YouTube, or my job. My career was not going anywhere because this is where most of my money come from. And that was, it's what I've been going to school and doing all this stuff, getting the dream positions and all that. That's what I was all of that for. So that wasn't going anywhere. YouTube was like more my passion. Like I didn't make any real money doing this. Like I don't really make any real money doing this, but this is like my passion, right? And so doing this and then trucking. So let's say trucking made me the second most money after my job, but and it might have had one of the greatest potentials as far as scaling up and stuff like that, becoming a full-on 80 truck organization and all of that. But it was like I had to choose: do I want to stay doing this, YouTube? Do I want to do trucking, or do I want to do my career? And so this was my passion. I make enough money from my career to live comfortably. So, that was kind of that. But when it came to like, did I want to give up YouTube? I didn't really want to give up YouTube. And so I was like, it would still be very difficult, even if I gave up YouTube, to run the trucking business. I was going to try to like outsource it to like a family member who I could trust to book loads. And I tried that, but they still had a lot of questions. Like I even tried that. Like they still just calling me for like every little thing because they didn't know. Like it's a lot to know. And so it's impossible for you to learn trucking in a month or 2 months or whatever. It's so many things. And so for somebody to try to step in and try like, hey, they still had to call me all the time. And so it was still like I was doing it all. So, and then I was also doing consulting for trucking companies, like new companies trying to come on, new drivers trying to start their own authority, new drivers trying to lease. So I was doing all of that, and the consulting was more lucrative from a return on investment standpoint. So I was like, oh, you know what? I can just do that. This is more lucrative, just to talk to people on the phone, and that's all profit. I got no overhead, no nothing. Oh, this good here. So I was like, okay, well, let me transition over into consulting, keep YouTube going, and do my regular career field. And so I leased out my equipment to another company who was getting started, and so they was running my equipment, my truck, trailer, and all that kind of stuff. And but eventually I just transitioned all the way out. I just sold it all or whatever. But that was kind of that. Okay, so let me read where you guys are. You still okay? Real estate over anything. It has made more long-term money and millionaires over many things. Okay, you were hot shot trucking, I remember. Sounded like it was crazy demanding. Would you recommend freight brokering or dispatching? And Isaac says that doesn't sound like passive income. No, trucking was not a passive income. That's what I was saying, that real estate, because it was because if you're doing buy and hold and you're just renting it out, that's passive income. That's why it doesn't make as much money as, say, trucking does. That's exactly what I was meaning by that. It's not a passive business. It's a business, My government contracts, it's an active business. But we make way more money than trucking and all this other stuff I ever did. Like it's way more money, but it's not still a passive business. It's not passive. It's an active business. We have to do things in a certain period of time on a timely basis, turn things in, prove invoices, all that kind of, we have to prove, we did what we did, and it is not a passive business where somebody else goes out and does the work, comes home and pay you to stay in your house. That's a very different thing, So, okay. So I passed your question. I don't see a question from you, Shambhala. It says message retracted. So you retracted the question, or did I miss something? Let me go all the way back up. I don't see a question from you, Shambhala. Shambhala, I like that name. I like that name. Shambhala, I don't see anything. It says message retracted. You retracted your statement. I don't know what you're saying. Do I recommend freight brokering or dispatching? I'm gonna go with brokering. I'm gonna go with brokering because you're deciding. You're the one negotiating the rate and deciding how much you're gonna pay somebody. Dispatching is like going out and finding loads. Like brokering is like, okay, either you going out and finding the load that somebody is trying to ship, or they're coming to you. So that's where the majority of the control lies in brokering. So brokering is going to be the most control. Like when you see a $3 rate, that's a rate usually from the broker. It's not from the dispatcher. The dispatcher is charging the trucking company to find loads from brokers, And when I say brokers, they can be considered load boards or whatever. Somebody brokered that load, that got on that load board that the dispatcher found, and they call and say, hey, can we get this load? I'm dispatching for this company. And you're like, yeah, we'll let you get the load. Now let's say that dispatcher, I don't know what the rate is. I can't remember. It's been too long. But let's say if it's 10% of the load, right? So let's say if it's a load and the load is paying, let's say $1,000, right? And let's just say it breaks down to about $3 a mile, but let's say the load is paying $1,000. So the dispatcher might get $100, right? So now this is the thing. The broker, the load could actually be paying, say, $1,500. And they're putting it out. Like, let's say whoever's trying to ship something is like, yo, I need to ship this here. And the broker say, hey, give me the load. I'll put it on the load board and find a driver for you. Find somebody to ship it. So they're like, all right, cool. So they're like, how much you gonna charge? Broker might say it's gonna be $1,500, and they're gonna post a load for $1,000, and so that $1,000 is so $500 is gone. The broker might have kept that $500 or $200 or $300. We don't even know because we don't even see it. But the broker keeps that difference, and we're fighting for the $1,000. But the broker has already got once that stuff is delivered, the broker got their $500, but they never had a truck. They never did anything. The same thing like kind of with a dispatcher. But I feel like to be a broker is like a different level. You have to do some different things to get to the broker level. But, you're brokering the deal. So sometimes like you might get on the phone because I dispatched a lot. So I started out with a dispatcher. Shout out to y'all. They showed me a lot of stuff. See, I was learning at every level. But I started out with a dispatcher and I started learning how to dispatch my own stuff. It's very simple, super simple. But as a matter of fact, I should do a video where I show you guys how to get something dispatched. It's really simple. But like I remember calling when I started doing my own dispatching, calling brokers and I'm like, hey, is this load available? And they're like, yeah, it's available. And I'm like, what's the rate? And they'll say, excuse me. They'll say, well, it's this much. And I'm like, I don't know if okay, I thought it was going, dang, is it's $2? Y'all can't come to, I don't know if that's worth it. Like, I'm cool on that. Let me move past it. And then they might say, well, what are you willing to do it for? If we can sweeten the deal, we might be able to move some things around. They're not negotiating to ship something for themselves. They're negotiating on behalf of, they've charged somebody else a certain amount, and they're trying to make a certain profit, and they're trying to see how much money they want to lose, you know, because now you're eating into their 500. You see what I'm saying? So they're like, let me see. Hold on, okay. I'm leasing a truck now, but I'm seeing $3K a week. I think I see more being an owner-operator and have it under an LLC. Do you think I can make more money being an owner-operator? Leasing a truck. Leasing a truck right now. Going off. I'm leasing a truck now, but I'm seeing $3K a week. What in the? Can you turn this thing on? Do not disturb or something. I don't know what's going on here. I'll be getting these spam calls like crazy. All right, so I'm leasing a truck now, but I'm seeing $3K a week. I think I can see more being an owner operator, and I have it under an LLC. Do you think I can make more money being an owner operator? You seeing $3,000 a week. You're leasing a truck now, but I'm seeing $3,000 a week. You making $3,000 a week. When you say leasing a truck, I thought, I could be wrong, but if you're leasing a truck, aren't you an owner operator? You mean running it under your individual business. Wait, you're leasing a truck. You're not an owner operator if you're leasing a truck? Am I tripping? Aren't you an owner operator? Can somebody answer this question? Like, if you're like, are you not are you considered a W-2 employee, or are you a 1099 employee? That's actually a bad question for truckers, because there's a lot of truckers out here driving around and they being 1099, but they don't own the truck. No, that's right. You're an owner operator now. If you're leasing a truck, you're an owner operator. Regardless of whether or not, I guess, you put it under your LLC. But think about that, y'all. Like, $3K a week. Shambhala making $3K a week. I'm assuming that's what they're saying. $3K a week. That's $150,000. That's $150,000. $156,000 a year if this continues at that pace. That's crazy. They got to be owner operator. I can't see them paying employees that much. But I think you're already an owner operator if you're leasing a truck. So this is what they do, all right? And you know, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna get off of here because, you know, I don't want nobody mad at me. But I want no business owners mad at me. But my driver was a W-2 employee, and why was he W-2 employee when everybody wanted me to 1099 him? It is because you are supposed to W-2 an employee or whoever's working for you if they do not have their own equipment. The equipment was in my name. You would not believe how many companies 1099 their drivers because they don't want to pay any kind of partial of the taxes for the employee, or pay taxes on them, or collect the taxes. They don't want to set their stuff up like that because they don't want to have to incur that extra cost. They'd rather just give you a flat fee and let you figure out your own taxes. And a lot of people end up owing taxes at the end of the year because they don't know. They didn't do any kind of like tax planning, right? They were 1099, so that, let's say they was getting $3,000 a week. That $3,000 a week came in, no taxes came out of it, no nothing came out of it, no health insurance, 401k, nothing. It was just what it was. And at the end of the year, they got to pay that money back. They got to pay that money back, or they got to pay taxes on that money, and they did not plan on it, so they weren't taking out money in taxes. They weren't doing any of that kind of stuff. And I just hate to even bring it up because I don't want nobody mad at me because that's where the rules is. I'm leasing a truck from a company. I own the truck. I have it under an LLC. There are two ways you can own a truck, leasing or being an owner-operator. And yes, I do a 1099. You're already an owner-operator. You're already an owner-operator. Insurance, workman comp, they don't have to want to pay anything. Right, exactly. Jacoby Brown said, appreciate the info, bro, 100. I'm out. All right, man, it was good talking to y'all. Y'all already owner-operator in case you don't know. 1099, shouty, you the owner-operator. Anyway, I'm glad y'all came on here. Hopefully y'all hit the like button. Help me out get this thing, you know what I mean? Ranked up in the algorithm. You know what I'm saying? But right now you watching Casino is the name. Like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we are out.
Beat me up, Scotty. Me and her together, we just count it up. Money on my mind, I can't get enough. Don't play with my money, you don't want no beef. Cause I come from the bottom, I come from the street. When she first saw me, she said, who is that? When a man saw me, he called me a threat. I'm the one that really live what a rap.
$1 million an hour. You know, it's crazy, right? There's money everywhere. There's money in everything. I want to help you. Start your business today. Come join my royal family. Subscribe to Casino is the name.